Ronny Mauricio has gotten the call up to the New York Mets. Michael Brantley is back and heating up for the Houston Astros. Join us today as we talk must-add players for the start of the fantasy baseball playoffs on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel, also gives you notifications every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, subscribe to us on the Subtext website. With the fantasy baseball playoffs being here, we'll give you instant alerts right to your phone for prospect call-ups, waiver wire rankings, injuries, and much, much more than we could offer in this 30-minute episode. And I'm going to drop this here at the top. We've been talking about our listener league. You know, if you were in the Diamond Club on Subtext, you got an opportunity to be in a raffle to win a spot, and the winner is our pal John. So John, we've reached out to you on Subtext already. You can reach back out to us, and we'll make sure that you have that first coveted spot in our listener league next year. Don't worry, guys. There's going to be a bunch more spots and a bunch more ways to get into that listener league. We'll keep you updated throughout the offseason and as we get closer to next season. But guys, you know, we have a fully loaded episode for you today. As always, let us be your team secret weapon as we help you figure out which players you need on your team heading into the fantasy baseball playoffs. And Matt, I mean, if you guys were on the Diamond Club, you guys heard about this one as soon as it happened, but, you know, we're a little late here on the podcast with it. You know, the timing of his call-up and our episodes didn't work out. But, Matt, who do we got up first?
Oh, we got Mr. Ronny Mauricio. You know, if you guys, he's probably the most coveted Mets prospect, period. Kid playing second base at 6'3", 166 pounds. Skinny boy, funny enough. But kid's got a lot of power. Last year he had 26 home runs in the minors. This year he has 23. I mean, he looks really good. He had to boot. He also has at least 2 seasons in the minors, 22 and 23, with over 20 stolen bases. This year, I feel, is a career outlier in batting average in the minors. I think he's more of like a 255 to 265 hitter, but he looks good. He looks good. He looks like he's primed to help the Mets do their thing. And he's already putting together some great outings for the Mets in his 7 at-bats, which is only 7. So let's not, you know, take this, you know, too far and be like, boom, you know, this kid's going to be a superstar, which he has potential to be. But in 7 at-bats, he has 4 hits. He has a double. And he struck out twice. And he's batting about 571. Like, he looks good. He looks good out there. He looks confident to play. He's making good decisions. He's doing his thing. Ronnie, I would say, is great in roto leagues. He may hurt you in points leagues going into the playoffs because the kid loves to strike out like crazy. You know, if he was a lifetime criminal, he would be in prison for a whole bunch of time because it wouldn't even be his first or 7th strike. The kid has, in the last season alone, this season alone, 35 walks to 97 strikeouts. Like, I mean, he just is a new age batting average guy. That's why I said it's an outlier year. But I just don't think he's going to be an elite batting average guy. He's going to be a strikeout guy. He's going to mutilate any kind of production he can do for you during the week with his strikeouts. So roto leagues or any league that does not have a deterrent for strikeout players, Ronnie is a great ad. So check him out.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, I think you know what, for a 3-week stretch though, till the end of the playoffs, if Ronny Mauricio can keep going what he's doing right now, you might catch that period where the pitchers don't have enough time to adjust to him. So he might just go out there and hit 300 plus the next couple of weeks. It looks like he gets the Nationals in his next few, then the Twins. Not great pitching staff, so he can go up there and take advantage of them. He also today he threw in another steal, so he's up to 2 steals through 3 games with the Mets, and he had 24 steals through 116 games in the minors this year. He also sold 20 bags last year. So, the young Ronny Mauricio's got some speed. His spot in the lineup hasn't really been great. He went from 9th to 7th, so they are sneakily moving him up there. Right now, he does only have shortstop eligibility, Ronny Mauricio, on Yahoo, but that second base eligibility should come in sooner than later, so he's going to be able to help you at multiple positions. I think the upside is very, very high. He had a great spring training. He carried it through the minor league season this year. He made some adjustments in the offseason. It looks like it's paying off. As Matt said, I don't know if he's going to be a 290 career guy, but hey, if he hits you 270, 275 with some power, with some speed, maybe he puts on a little bit more weight, that power goes up, because at 6'3", 166, he's a little bit lanky. But I think, hey, if he can get up to even like 185 of muscle, you know what? That's not bad for the kid. Right now, Mauricio is 22% owned. He's up 13% in the last day. So I think Mauricio probably one of the better bats that we're going to talk about today. I think you got to go out there and at least give him the chance. Let's move on to somebody I feel like I've been ranting about the last few weeks, and if you listened, it's paying off so far, and it's Michael Brantley, who's amazingly still only 8% owned. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why he's 8% owned. I think this guy's be 60, 70% owned at this point, because Michael Brantley, through his first few games here, looking very, very solid. He is currently batting .308, 3 runs, a homer, 4 RBIs through his first 3 starts, 4 games, not including today where he's 0 for 2 so far. So that batting average probably dips down to like a 280. But hey, the game's not done yet. So, he's 0 for 2 at the moment against the Yankees. If he gets a hit in there, you know what? That batting average is going to stay over 300. That's what Brantley's known for. Honestly, this could be such a sneaky, sneaky ad going into the playoffs. And where do they have him hitting in the lineup? I know Matt and I were going off about this. Actually, Matt, your boy Dusty has got him down at 6. Surprisingly enough, keeping your boy Tucker at the top of that lineup there. So Brantley still batting 6th in that Astros lineup is not bad. It gives him more RBI opportunity. He still has 3 runs and already popped a homer. Michael Brantley's just such a strong ad going into the fantasy baseball playoffs, because we know what you're getting with Michael Brantley, and it's going to be great production.
Yeah, no, Brantley's doing his thing. Great take, Tom. He definitely is an ad for me, but it is what it is. We'll see how long it's going to ride. One thing I will always say about Michael Brantley, he will never let you down in the batting average category. So he literally is the epitome of my rule, batting average off the waiver wire. So, Michael Brantley is a must-add just based off of the rule. Let's move on, Dom. You did a great job. Let's talk about Mr. Jorge Polanco. Polanco is having a really nice month, 46% owned, but I think he should be owned in much more leagues. I mean, 2nd and 3rd eligibility for starters. That is huge just right out in front. He's killing it too. This month he's hitting 286. I love this. This is the Jorge Polanco I've been looking for like the last 2 years. Yeah. He just hasn't been there, but he's showing up this last month, and I'm willing to ride the wave for the last month heading into the playoffs this week, where, hey, if you can't get production out of your third baseman, Polanco is definitely performing. Get him out there, especially if you guys decided to hold on to like Ellie De La Cruz, who I'm not dropping, but I may consider benching until he kind of proves otherwise. So Polanco can go out there and supplement what you're not getting from Ellie, or just your third baseman out there if you lost like a Young or such. So Polanco can definitely be a nice replacement going into the playoffs for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, guys, and before I hop in here, I talk about Polanco, and then we got one of the most young guns in MLB showing off pretty good through his first little bit here. And then we have surprisingly a bunch of Chicago Cubs pitchers to talk about. We just have a quick ad break for you guys, and it's our friends at Nutrafol today. You don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. Did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men, and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Once again, that's Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And dear everydayers and new listeners, we have an incredible opportunity for you to support the show and enjoy some fantastic perks along the way. Introducing our Diamond Club on the Subtext website. By becoming a member, you not only contribute to the show's success, but also gain access to exclusive benefits. Get your hands on waiver wire rankings, call-up alerts, injury updates, instant reactions, and enjoy direct access to us for all of your burning fantasy baseball questions. Plus, you can try it out completely free for 14 days. Your support means the world to Matt and I, and we can't wait to connect with you on this exciting journey. Join our Diamond Club on the Subtext website today, and let's take your fantasy baseball experience to new heights. And once again, John, you are the winner to that, coveted spot in our listener league. We truly, truly appreciate all of you being in the Subtext, the Diamond Club on Subtext. It's been great getting to know all of you guys. And, hang out with us through the off season. We still got a lot of baseball to talk about. Get ready for your dynasty leagues next year. Throw us out all your questions and all that stuff. And you know what? Maybe even we'll talk a little bit of football in there. Matt and I both do fantasy football. We'll chop it up about that as well. It's just a fun experience getting to know you guys, talk fantasy sports, and it's just a really great place where Matt and I share all of our fantasy knowledge we've acquired throughout the years. Matt, anything else to chip in? I looked like you wanted to say something real quick, or am I bugging?
You're bugging.
Okay, I apologize about that. I don't know. It looked like you had something to say. So
don't let it happen again.
I won't. So let me hop in on Jorge Polanco real quick. Matt, you did a great job covering him, so I don't have too much to add here. It's just this guy, he's notoriously a second half guy. Last year he was banged up. He only played 104 games. He never really got to catch his drift. Kind of the same thing last year. Only 62 games on the year for Polanco. Has been banged up all year. Hasn't caught his stride until now. This might be a guy you could ride out the rest of the way because he's a career 270 hitter. He's got a little bit of pop. He's got a little bit of speed. He's hitting second in the Twins lineup. I know the lineup's not blowing anybody away, but, it's a solid enough lineup that you're hitting second in it. You're going to get some runs. You're going to get some RBIs. So with Jorge Polanco at 46% owned, do you need help at second and third, or you just need somebody that contributes all around a little bit? I wouldn't call him a 5-tool guy because he's not blowing you away in all of those categories, but he has potential to, help you in every single one. But let's keep things moving here. Actually, Matt, I've done a lot of talking, and this is your boy. So why don't you lead the way on this next guy, brother?
Thank you. It's Nolan Schanuel. I hope I said that right.
I believe you did. Sounded good.
Nolan has been great, honestly. This is the most unprecedented situation for baseball. He was drafted this year and then instantly was promoted intensely and then got to the bigs literally this year. Like it's really impressive. Like, in all honesty, congratulations, dude. You literally had 74 at bats in the in the minors, and now you're up in the bigs. Like, that's just freaking bonkers, I gotta say. Good for you, dude. Like, you really did a great job with being called up. Like, oh, it's amazing. Now let's talk about fantasy relevant stuff and stop going off on him. So Nolan Schanuel, he's been great college career. I can't really pull up his numbers. That's what I was trying to do, installing, but it didn't work out. But he had a great college career. He had about 19 home runs. He had good batting average. A kid could hit the ball. I really like what he did in college before being obviously drafted. And this year he's doing his thing since he's gotten the call. He has 44 at bats, 12 runs, a double, 2 ribs, walked 10 to 6 strikeouts. Like, that is phenomenal. Batting 273. OPS is 724. Like, he looks great. In the minors, he had about 1 home run, 15 ribs, 4 doubles, a triple, 20 runs, and 2 stolen bases, batting 365. Like, this kid looks like he's priming to have a breakout soon. Like, let's put it this way. He's hitting almost every game he's played in, more often than not, right? So Schanuel is doing his thing. What tells me is when a player's putting the bat to the ball, and when you look at his college numbers, you look at, okay, this kid might be starting to send this ball for yard soon, and I think that we might be right now, this is the precipice of a nice hot streak. Like, hey, you're about to catch it before the gasoline's dropped on the fire. So I would pick up Schanuel pretty much now to see what he does this week. Because if he decides to go off, he could be literally a playoff MVP going for you guys moving forward. Like, I'm huge on Schanuel for all the playoffs this year.
So, Matt, I think I'm going to take a different approach to this. Like, I love the talent. I think Schanuel's a great young player, but my approach might be a little different with the kid. Let's say this. If you have a bye this week, if you're fortunate enough like myself to have a bye, you could pick up Schanuel and see what he does. But if you need the production right now, I'll tell you this. Schanuel looks good so far, but he looks like they're sitting him against lefties. Like, today's game, he sat against a lefty. There was 2 games back-to-back where he sat on August 26th and 27th against lefties. Hasn't really shown the pop yet. He's hitting first in the lineup, so he's not really getting any RBI opportunity. It's just really runs and 273 batting average, a little bit of batting average there. So I'm not picking him up if I need production this week. If I need somebody to go off this week, I'm probably not leaning in Schanuel's way. They get the Orioles pitching staff, nothing to shake your head at there with the Orioles pitching staff. I think next year, Schanuel at 21, he's going to be 22 next year. I think it's a sleeper pick. You pick him up next year and he's going to be very, very productive. He kind of has that, looks like it's going to be more of a batting average on base type of build. He's a big boy. So if he figures out how to tap into that power at 6'4", 220 for Schanuel, he could be phenomenal. But still needs a little bit more fine-tuning, still a little bit wet around the ears for Schanuel. I think the upside's there eventually, but I don't know if I'm counting on him for the fantasy baseball playoffs. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I want to come back on this a little bit because I got his college stats. This is the part that kind of gets me all hot and bothered. So his last year at Florida Atlantic in college, he had 289 plate appearances, 197 at bats, 70 runs, 18 doubles, 4 triples, 19 bombs, 64 ribs, 14 stolen bases, and batted .447. Now, I know it's college, and you can't get too, hot and bothered by it, but the fact that I'm seeing an instant translation, the fact that he had such a rapid path to the to the bigs, to the show, tells me that they're seeing it too. And I think Schanuel might just explode. I think there is we'll say like a 40% chance that he could explode for the playoffs and truly be a playoff MVP. Like, I like your approach. Hey, if you have the bye 100%, you need to add it. This is the kid that can possibly get you a championship. And if he goes off next week, great. Now, if you don't have a bye, but you need an actual bat in that lineup, pick up Schanuel. Just do it. And if he decides to go off, boom, you're gold. If not, he still is the epitome of my rule off the waiver wire. Batting average off the waiver wire is a must add. So either way, he's going to help you contribute no matter what. He's getting runs, he's getting batting average. Like that's it. That's going to help, increase your batting average for the week. And that's key going into the playoffs next week. Now, I'm sorry, we pretty much just spent 10 minutes on this dude, but it is what it is. All right, let's move on. Dom, go ahead.
Just real quick, just to once again, just to stay my side. I see you, bro, and I see what you're saying. I'm not rolling a risk into the playoffs with a guy who's mainly just contributing runs. 273 batting average last week hasn't looked so hot for him. He's not playing against lefties. I'm just not taking that approach. So I mean, if you could listen to either one of us that you want. Matt has his stats that back up what he's saying. I have my stats that back up what I'm saying. This is a kind of pick your fate opportunity here with Schanuel, but he great young talent. Don't get me wrong. But let's keep things pushing here. Let's move on to DJ Stewart, and this is just to kind of juice the orange, ride the hot hand type of situation here. DJ Stewart's just been hot, so in the fantasy baseball playoffs, especially in redraft, I'm dumping whatever I can to get the hot bat into my lineup, and DJ Stewart has been exactly that. The last 14 days. 5 runs, 5 homers, 11 RBIs, 325 batting average. He's batting 6th for the New York Mets, outfield eligibility on Yahoo. Doesn't really have a great career track record, but once again, it's just kind of a ride the hot hand opportunity and juice the orange. And you pick him up for this week. Let's see who the matchups are against. Washington and Minnesota. We talked about that earlier with Mauricio. Not great pitching staffs, just a guy that can go out there and, take advantage.
Yeah, no, I like the approach. He's, it's that time of the year, get hot and ride the wave all the way to the fantasy glory. This is where you're going to be adding and dropping like a crazy person. So Stewart is one of those dudes you might want in the lineup as hot as he is, and then the second he cools off, you kick him to the curb. But before we move on, We talk about a pitcher that's just been going off, a rookie that's just been doing his thing, and a couple other names that I kind of like here. But before that, we do have an ad for you. The MLB playoffs are around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chances for 100 times payout. 100 times payout for cash on your daily fantasy baseball. Baseball has never been more exciting than it now with the studs like Acuna, Betts, and Ohtani. Pick more or less stats for these stars like home runs, hits, strikes, and more. With Sleeper, you get up to 100-time payout and only on Sleeper. It's phenomenal. Get your picks right now, and you can win big. Entries can be made in minutes. Now, outside of their awesome picks, which is also really fun, if it's eligible in your state, because it's eligible in about 30 states. Their alerts are absolutely killer. Like, they help me beat everybody to the waiver wire for football and baseball. If somebody goes down, somebody gets the call up, it's critical to get it before everybody else. And Sleeper puts you above the rest of your league mates. And last of all, they just added this year, they have group chats and all this wonderful stuff. So now you don't even need to flicker between, 2-3 different apps. Like my league uses WhatsApp, another league uses GroupMe. Like now, like we're all switching to Sleeper, and now we can all just talk in the app while looking at our fantasy football stats. Like I'm pretty hype about Sleeper's new feature for that alone. The app is phenomenal. You need to go and get it. And last of all, here's the promo. Use the promo code Locked On, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Sleeper's terms and use for details. All right. So, with that being said, and thank you for bearing with me here, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about some pitching. We're going to talk about Javier Assad. Javier is he's had a couple good outings. It's interesting. We were talking about him, what, Dom, 2 weeks ago?
Something
Not
like
even.
that.
Yeah, and we recommended, hey, you might want to look at this kid. You might want to see what he's doing. And he's pitching, I think well above board. He's hot right now, like, looking good against Pitt, looking good at Cincinnati. The Cincinnati one is more of the key one, the more of the impressive one, because it's at Great American Hitter Park. But, he's handling his own. He's going against the matchups where he's supposed to perform. So I'm willing to roll him out there against a good matchup. Looks like he'll probably get San Francisco at home. So it's a decent matchup. I mean, they play really good, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, they're all in it. They're all in it. The Cubs are fighting for a wild card. The Giants are fighting for a wild card. So I think Assad is a decent start there. I think you should add him while he's hot, and let's see what happens. Being that it's going to be over the weekend, you know what? Just take your time, see what happens. And if you need to start, just add him. If you don't worry about it. But he's not like my must add out of all these pitchers, but he's somebody I'm willing to roll out there this week in the playoffs and risk it to get the biscuit.
Great take, Matt. We're pretty much on board there with Assad. I will say this. I'm going to do a little bit of a tease here about a guy that we're going to talk about later on. Javier Assad's late season run reminds me of Ranger Suarez's late season run from I think it was 2 years ago, where Ranger Suarez could not be touched through the end of the season, his last 10, 15 starts. Assad is kind of pulling that same magic as to where we've seen Ranger Suarez is a decent, serviceable pitcher, but he's nowhere near the guy he was at the end of the season a few years ago. I feel the same way about Assad. Through the 87 innings he has on the year, 7 starts, 25 games, Assad has a 2.69 ERA. Once again, 87 innings, 67 strikeouts, and a 1.18 whip. His FIP, however, was fielding independent pitching, which is kind of a predictive stat, kind of tells you where the ERA should be rather than where it is a 4.20. So, he's pitching well under that FIP. So, other shoe could fall off the foot at any point. But you know what? As I mentioned, a good matchup against San Francisco. It is in Wrigley Field, so you don't get the San Francisco ballpark where it's, a little easier to pitch. But Wrigley Field's still not a horrible park to pitch in either. San Francisco's lineup is manageable to get through. I think Assad is a decent pickup, 40% owned to ride out through the rest of the season and just see where the thing goes. He's got good fastball stuff. It's not like a blow you away fastball, but the fastball is good. Throws about 4 or 5 different pitches. The breaking stuff isn't great. So as I said, the other shoe could drop off at any moment, but ride the wave with Assad. As Matt mentioned, great point. If you don't need him at the end of the week, you can throw him on your bench. But you know what? If you need to start, you throw him out there and you see where the thing goes. Let's move on to another Cubs pitcher. And man, we got those Cubs are on the list today. Let's talk about the young rookie Jordan Wicks. And he's looked good through his first 10 innings. He has 12 strikeouts, 2 wins, a 1.80 ERA, and a 1.10 whip. Let's see, once again, another guy that goes up against San Francisco on September 6th. I'm just going to ride Jordan Wicks out, man. Decent minor league track record there. I'm trying to pull up the stuff because I'm not super, super familiar with his stuff. Let's see. He has fastball is not great. It's not blowing you away. Another decent fastball, but another guy that throws a lot of pitches. He throws about, once again, 4 or 5 different pitches here with Wicks. Just a decent ad. Once again, not one of my favorite guys here. He's 24% owned, but in the fantasy baseball players, it's just about ride the hot hand, ride the guys that you think have good matchups. And Wicks fills out all those things. He's a big baseball boy, like 6'3", 200 plus pounds. So I think you just kind of go out there and you really ride the wave with him. He's had a good minor league season as well. A lot of strikeouts, 3.55 ERA, and a 1.17 whip in the minors this year for Wicks. Not a bad way to look in the first week of the fantasy baseball playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. Wicks could be very valuable this week. So definitely add him. Great take, Dom. Let's move on. Let's keep it moving because we took too long on Mr. Schanuel here. Let's talk about Kyle Hendricks, another Cubs pitcher. Kyle has been killing it over his last couple starts. Like, honestly, he's had good matchups too. He's going to get San Francisco on the 5th. So that'll be Tuesday. And we won't be recording that day, so that'll be your day. But anyway, Kyle Hendricks will have a nice matchup against San Francisco. My guy has been pretty consistent: 6 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 5 innings, and he's looked great against the Mets, the White Sox, the Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee. So there's 2 really good teams in there, and then a bunch of fluffers. San Francisco is a middle of the pack and, matchup, I would say. So I'm definitely going to roll him out there, especially with the way he's been playing at 37% owned. This is Dom's boy. So he's probably got a little Woody going on here, and I'm sure he's going to want to talk all about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too deep, but Kyle Hendricks is he's back to vintage Kyle Hendricks. He's had a few down years, but you know what, as you get older, you kind of got to work around different things. And, even though Hendricks was never a guy that had a great fastball, and he still doesn't, he had 2 years where, in 2021 and 2022, where, he wasn't his old self. He's found it again. The changeup looks fantastic this year. Looks very vintage Kyle Hendricks. Once again, another guy that got San Francisco on the year. Great numbers from 11 quality starts to 110 innings. The strikeouts aren't there, but they've never been. But if you need a guy that's going to suppress runs, good whip, gives you the innings for a quality start, you definitely look Kyle Hendricks' way. He's only 37% owned. Just somebody I'm a big fan of headed into the fantasy baseball playoffs. Let's move on to one of Matt's Phillies, boy, and it's, teased him earlier. It's Ranger Suarez. Just been serviceable. Just been pretty serviceable of late. He's got hit around in his last one against Milwaukee, which I think was today, actually. Gave up 3 runs, 4 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1.75 whip. But his last 2 before that were once again serviceable, as the word I'm going to use. 6.1 innings against Minnesota, 8 strikeouts, 2.84 ERA, 1.42 whip. And against Washington, 5.2 innings, 5 strikeouts, 3.18 ERA, 1.41 whip. So you know what? He's going to give you some strikeouts. The ERA is going to be serviceable, and the whip is the only department he's really going to, not look too great in here. Just want to give you guys his next matchup. Once again, Ranger Suarez is 31% owned on Yahoo, very, very widely available. And he gets Miami. Miami's been hot. I'm not going to lie to you, Miami's been pretty hot. They're making that playoff push. If he could pitch around those guys, I think he could have a decent start. It's on September 10th. So we're giving you an option here. We're giving you an option, pretty much. That's the way I'm going to put it.
Yeah, I like Ranger. Ranger is actually low-key really good in the ERA department. He has a career ERA at 3.29. Every time his name comes up, I got to mention that because Ranger actually is pretty good. He just is a little underwhelming in obviously whips because it's always high. And then the K department is nowhere near a K per 9, even though this year he's not as badly off, where he's 97 innings, 89 strikeouts. Like, it's not that atrocious, but he's usually, well under a K per 9, because usually he's about 30 or 40 Ks short of his total inning pitch. But I like the team. I like the opportunity, and I like what Ranger Suarez can do. The Miami start is a little rough, but if you're in a pinch, do it. It is what it is. It's the playoffs. It's just time to, either cut bait with a certain category if it's already gone too far, or kind of keep it going and forget about it. So these are the decisions you're going to have to make this week, and we'll see how it all plays out after we get you guys through the playoffs. But anyway, with that being said, Dom, take us away.
Tiny quick rant, just to throw it out there. This is the time of year we got to give the people what they need. Matt Manning is another name. Not going to do a long rant. He's had a very good season so far. 3.62 ERA, 103 whip, 77 innings, 49 Ks. Like Hendricks, he's not really a strikeout guy. Also has 5 wins. He gets the Yankees. Yankees haven't been great. I know they called up the young bloods, but you know what? If you can go out there and take advantage of them, you have that opportunity with Matt Manning. And then after that, the following week, you get Cincinnati, who's also been ice cold. Just wanted to give you guys that option because Matt Manning is only 17% owned. But with that being said, guys, that is all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, every day as a new listeners, thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And be sure you're on the lookout for a new episode tomorrow. Not 100% sure what we're talking about yet, but with us, it's always a good one. So until then, see you.
Peace.